Angela Levin gives her verdict on Harry's evidence in the High Court today in just a moment. But first, it's time for the real world with Lee Anderson. And the headmaster of a leading London school has sparked outrage after banning pupils from, wait for it, addressing their teachers as Sir and Miss, instead insisting they use teachers' full titles with surnames to tackle, quote, cultural misogyny. This is James Hanscom. He is the executive principal at the Harris Academy, and he told pupils in an assembly, "Miss is how you refer to a small girl or an Edwardian shop assistant. The message is that it's not right to address men as aristocratic knights and women as children." So, Lee, look, we see this awful little TikToker whose name I actually refuse to use, you know, going around and causing all of these trouble for people, sort of showing that disrespect is now rife in our younger generation. And then you have a head teacher saying, oh, no, it's misogynistic to call your teachers sir or miss. Is this not just the erosion of discipline?
And this is where it all starts, Dan, in school. Now, I remember one of my favourite school teachers, Mr Southall. He taught me 40-odd years ago, 45 years ago, and to this day, when I see him in town, I say, hello, sir, how are you? That's how it was. It was sir, it was miss. It was about respect. It's about respecting your school teachers, about respecting your elders, and having that little bit of discipline and those boundaries that you need between a pupil and a teacher. And I suppose this chap is, the Harris Academy, is talking out his Harris. It really is.
It definitely is. And what I hate about it is terms like cultural misogyny. It's like, there's no woman thinks that it's disrespectful to be called miss.
Listen, Dan, where does this come from? Look, you know, I started off life as a coal miner. And if I'd been called miss or sir, that would have been quite a nice thing to be called. You need to get in a factory or a building site or in the real world, in real jobs, and see what sort of names are bandied about in the real workplace. It's absolute nonsense. And you know what? This headmaster, in a few years' time, after people are calling him by his first name, he'll be the first complaining that kids are running around feral, and he'll be blaming the government on not investing in youth services when it starts there in school.
But this is happening, isn't it? Kids are running around feral, and it is partly because of the discipline breakdown in the schools. I want to talk about Oxfam International, because I can't believe this. They're refusing to apologise after being forced to delete a Pride cartoon that depicted the best-selling author, brilliant women's rights champion J.K. Rowling as some sort of anti-trans demon. Look at this.
While LGBTQIA+ people around the world are deprived of basic safety, not protected by laws, preyed on by hate groups online and offline.
Now, Oxfam claims that the cartoon was not supposed to be based on anyone particular. Look, put them side by side there. It's pretty hard to believe. So, I mean, this is a humanitarian organisation, Lee, attacking one of our best-selling authors because she believes in the rights of women. We can't support folk like Oxfam.
Well, I mean, J.K. Rowling's been one of our best exports over the last 20, 30 years, you know, from this country. And this Oxfam, they're supposed to concentrate on alleviating world poverty, not attacking one of our national treasures, and she is. And I think, Dan, they've got far too much money and time on their hands to be doing this. They need to keep their nose out of these issues and concentrate on looking after poor people around the world, because that's what we donate money for, to these good causes. And I think Oxfam's going to lose a lot of support over this.
They're hardly squeaky clean themselves, are
well,
they?
when you look at some of the dodgy past, you know, in Haiti, in the Congo, you know, there's some dodgy workers out there doing some dodgy things. They need to clean up their own act, sort out the problems in their own backyard, and leave J.K. Rowling alone. She's a national treasure.
Well, do you know what disgusts me now? That any woman who stands up for single-sex spaces, remember, that's all J.K. Rowling has done. She has never attacked trans people, ever. And yet this label TERF is thrown at them. Now, I've actually decided to reclaim the phrase TERF. People call me a TERF all the time, trans-exclusionary radical feminist. I think, you know what? If that means that I stand up for the rights of my mother, my sister, my female friends, to have spaces that they are totally protected, to be able to compete in sport against other biological women, then so be it. But it's just the name calling from the nasty left, isn't it?
They're very nasty. It's important, Dan, that we stick up for women at every opportunity. Their rights are being eroded by the day by these lunatics, and it's just a minority of lunatics in this country. We see like the charities are stepping in now, like Oxfam we're speaking about. You know, they've got a big platform. They should know better. They can do a lot of damage, and they are the problem, not the solution.
I know, but this is the risk of a slippery Starmer led government, isn't it? Because he doesn't believe in the rights of women, because he thinks women can have a penis.
Well, even to this day, Dan, he cannot tell you the difference between a man and a woman. And to think that that man, and he is a man, I suspect he's a man anyway, could be leading this country in 18 months' time, what a message that sends out to the rest of the world.
No, indeed. Now, look, terrible news today, especially for me, given I'm looking forward to some summer holidays, but we could be in for a shock. Heathrow Airport has had to announce that strikes will hit travellers almost every weekend from mid-June until the end of August. This is because security staff have decided to down tools and put British borders in jeopardy. So, Lee, we've had this winter of discontent, and it looks like the rabid unions are also now trying to destroy our summer. Is this just going to continue until the election because they are so determined to cause chaos for your...
Well, it's another case, Dan, of the, like you say, rabid union leaders. I don't always blame the members that are trying to hold the country to ransom. They've done it with the schools, they've done it with transport, they've done it with the health service, and now we're just getting back on our feet in this country after a terrible few years with COVID, the pandemic. You know, people deserve a break. They want to go on holiday this summer. And what's going to happen? These terrible union leaders are going to stop people like yourself and me and my friends and my family from going on that well-deserved summer break. And it's the great British public, again, that's going to suffer for these out-of-touch union leaders who are trying to hold the government to ransom in the run-up to the next election. But we'll be tied them, Dan, because, you know, after the election, if Labour do win, these unions aren't going to go away. They're going to come with a begging bowl out to the Labour Party, then they will be in trouble.
They'll be more powerful. The thing that really worries me, Lee, is that these strikes are not actually... they're not really doing what strikes, I believe, are meant to be legal for, you know? To make a point... on a one-off basis. I mean, this is going right back to the 80s and the industrial disputes that lasted for months and months and months on end. Surely your party has to actually say, we've got to look at the laws around this.
Well, minimum service level agreements is a good thing, which we took a lot of flack over that in the House, Dan. Look, you know, back in the day when my dad was on strike and when I was on strike several times when working down the pits, we suffered some hardship. You know, it cost us a lot of money, and when we had a day or two or even a week on strike, that money had to come from somewhere. We didn't have a lot of money. But it's like a career now for some of these unions.
All summer. Yeah. All summer. Yeah. And, of course, Lee, they're doing it every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Oh, I wonder why.
And it's coordinated, so they won't be out of pocket as much as what we were back in the day.
I know. Lee Anderson, our Red Wall Rottweiler Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party, thank you so much. But coming up...